I really should have just borrowed one of my niece's vinyl records as a prop for this movie, for this video, because there's vinyl records in it and there's cassettes. Um, and it would have been a nice prop to have, but I don't have any of those. I guess I could have brought a CD up from downstairs, but I've got a bunch of those, but oh well. I'm from the CD age going into the download age. For that range. So this I'm almost done with the Studio Ghibli movies. After this one, I have one more to go. This one is going to be about Earwig and the Witch from 2020. Yeah, 2020. Yeah, that was a great year for so many things. So, Earwig and the Witch is actually the first Studio Ghibli movie that, as far as I am aware, was done in 3D CG, so it's computer generated. It is a movie that is fully computer generated images. It's not something where they drew it by hand or used that style of hand-drawn techniques that they use in pretty much all their other movies. I know some of the other Studio Ghibli movies have moments in them or little bits in them here and there that are done with CGI, but for the majority of the movies, there's not a lot. Which is something they pride themselves on, and I think that's really amazing when it comes to doing that, when it comes to their style. I know a lot of other anime have started using more and more CGI in their stuff, which is not a problem. I know that One Piece did that very recently when it came to like animating Kaido for some of the fights in during Wano and Onigashima and everything like that. And there's some other things here and there where they've had parts of it be in 3D or not 3D, but like CGI and everything like that. But this is Studio Ghibli's kind of first take on that. You can still kind of tell the style that it's still like kind of based off of that, how they tend to draw the characters with kind of the bigger eyes and stuff like that. But it does look different, and if you're someone who's just going through all of the Studio Ghibli movies, it is a little bit jarring when it comes to like, that's a little bit different than what I was expecting. But I mean, like, I went through something, went through that too when I was going through and doing all of the Disney movies, because they, start obviously way back with Snow White and hand-drawn animation, going all the way through to where they start using, where they have Pixar moved in there, but then they also have where actually Disney Studios is using, computer generated stuff, not just for small bits in movies, but for the whole movie when it comes to having stuff for like Chicken Little, which I've never watched, Meet the Robinsons, Bolt, that type of stuff. And then they make the full transition into pretty much everything from Disney now in regards to movies is computer generated, which is just something that we've gotten so used to. Studio Ghibli, this movie, it came out in 2022, December 2022. It's actually just at the tail end of 2022. It's December 30th, 2022 is when this aired. And it actually was a kind of originally it was aired on television, and then they had like theatrical releases later on in 2021. Kind of, I think, during one of those times where like the lockdowns weren't as strict and people could start going back to the theaters, they gave it a theatrical release. But it was originally designed to be just a TV special that they did. And it is directed by Goro Miyazaki, who, as I've mentioned with previous videos about Studio Ghibli movies, he is, Hayao Miyazaki's son. And this movie itself is actually based off of a 2011 book of the same name by Diane Wayne Jones. And it is originally, I believe it's supposed to originally for the story take place in like England area, the UK setup. And I think that's where like the book itself is based, and like where the movie still bases it. Because the architecture of the area that we see clearly is not Japan. It is more of that European style, English style type of stuff. And then, of course, the book itself had been, translated into Japanese, and, that's how they ended up finding it for this. I'm not sure if it was something that Goro wanted to do anyway, and then they got paired up with the television station to do this, or if it was the TV company wanted them to do it, and then they worked together on it. I'm not sure. But the book itself, from the little bit that I, read about the book, I think it's I don't know if the book has it specifically take place during a specific time frame, but the movie itself specifically sets it in the 90s. That is kind of it's not stated in the movie itself, but given what we see in the movie, it's supposed to take place in the 90s. They have like wall telephones, cord telephones to the wall, landlines. Nobody has cell phones or, smartphones or anything like that. There's cassette players. There's, we don't see like CD players, but we see like cassette players and like stuff like that. And parts of the movie flash back to like the 80s and, late 70s into the 80s, stuff like that. So going into the movie, so the movie itself starts off with this very curly red-haired woman riding a motorcycle with a baby kind of strapped to her chest, and she's driving a motorcycle, and she is being chased by this yellow, it's supposed to be, in all honesty, it's supposed to be like a yellow Volkswagen Beetle from like the slightly older model, as it's chasing her down the highway. And she is singing throughout the course of part of this. She's singing to the baby that is like, strapped to her chest. She's like in like one of those like wrap things that you can put babies in. I don't know if my sister ever used those with my nieces and nephew, but I've seen people who do use them. But, so they're able to, so we see them driving along, and this is at night on a somewhat busy freeway, interstate, whatever, highway, and they're being, chased by this car, and the baby is just kind of sleeping peacefully as it chews on a cassette tape that has Earwig written on it, and they're just, being followed. And in an attempt to get the car that is following them to leave them alone, the woman kind of pulls out her own hair and throws it back, is like whispering a spell. Her hair glows, throws it back, and it turns into red worms. I'm not kidding you. It turns into like red worms that like attack / get kind of swallowed up by like this Volkswagen bug that like makes the car not work, I guess, and she's able to get away. She makes her way to this church / orphanage, and she leaves the baby there. And the baby's name is technically Earwig. The baby gets a slightly different name in a moment, but the baby's name is technically Earwig, and she leaves the baby there with the cassette and with the note, and the baby's all wrapped up, and she rings the doorbell, and she's like talking to the baby before she puts the baby down, and she's like, "You'll like this place. It's got beautiful big windows with lots of light coming in. They make the best shepherd's pie," and blah, 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 blah. And she leaves the baby on the doorstep of the church, rings the doorbell, and leaves. The matron and one of the other ladies that works there comes out. They find the baby and start looking over. They read the note, and the note literally says, "Got 12 other witches all chasing me. I'll be back for her when I've shook them off. It may take years. Her name is Earwig." So the lady that left her there, Earwig's mom, is a witch. That comes into play a lot more later on. And she shows, so she's a witch. She's supposedly got 12 other witches chasing her. And she wants to have her daughter be in a safe place, so she leaves her at the orphanage. I guess that's reasonable enough. The matron does not buy that there are witches. The lady who's like the assistant to the matron is like, "Oh, ooh, witches," like they're real. So I like that dichotomy there between the two of them. And they're like, and the matron's like, "Earwig, that's a terrible name for a little girl." He calls it rubbish, and the idea it causes the idea of witches rubbish, and that the name is terrible. And she renames her to Erica Wig, is what she renames her to, which I'm like, okay, clever enough on your part. Renames her to Erica Wig, and ends up they take her inside the orphanage and they take care of her, and that's where Erica is raised for the next, I think it's supposed to be about 10 years at that time frame. And we cut to, years into the future, about 10 or so years into the future, and we see out of the church slash orphanage start coming all of these it's all of the children from the orphanage with like their bed sheets over them with eyes cut out, looking like ghosts as they like wander through the graveyard, which is very funny. And they're like wandering through the graveyard, and like one of the neighbors is walking, one of the older guys who's walking his dog is at night, is like comes by and like sees all the ghosts wandering around in the graveyard, and they scare him and he runs off with the dog, which is just kind of funny. And then we see two other ghosts that kind of like sneak off to a different area. One of them looks basically like has like little, looks like ears underneath it. This would be Erica and her friend Custard, who is her best friend. Why his name's Custard, I don't know, but if Big Mom's in the market for another son, if Big Mom from One Piece is in the market for another son, I have one that's already pre-food named in that regard. So, that's kind of what I thought. And Erica and Custard end up making their way over to like this bell tower that's part of the orphanage, and they pick the lock or steal, they've stolen the key and like get inside, and like they're making their way up to the top. Custard does not want to go inside. He is very scared. Erica is very bold and brash, and her Gryffindor is showing. And she's like, I'm going to the top. You're welcome to wait out here if you want, and heads up. And he's just like, the whole thing like, I don't want to be left outside, goes in after her. And as they're making their way up through the bell tower, she makes the comment of, because she really likes like horror and stuff like that, because like later on in the book we see her, or later on in the movie we see her reading like The Hound of the Baskervilles for Sherlock Holmes and like other stuff that's like horror and mystery type stuff. She really likes that stuff. And she makes the comment of, what if we get to the top of this and instead of a bell we find a head wrapped in a bag tied to the thing, and that's what's making the noise. And Custard is just like giving her the look of, what is wrong with you? You are 10. It's like, Wednesday Addams, I found you a friend. I think Erica and Wednesday Addams would get along wonderfully, in all honesty. And they get to the top, and they make their way out onto the top of the bell tower building, and they're looking out over, they see all their little friends down there in the graveyard running around pretending to be ghosts, and they look out over the sea, or at least out into the water, and they see a cruise ship there, and they're just like, this is so, this place is so great and everything, and they really love being there. Erica really actually enjoys being there. And Custard is like, Erica, have you ever thought about what it'd be like to be adopted and live someplace else? And she's like, nope, never considered it. If anyone were to pick me, they'd have to be pretty weird. I was like, well, you're not wrong. Besides, if I were taken into a normal family, there'd only be 2 or 3 people to order. There'd only be 2 or 3 people to order around. So Erica has the personality of, how can I describe this? Erica kind of has the personality of liking to be the one that appears to be in charge, and like, I say she's very brave, but she's got a lot of Slytherin in her too. Harry Potter shirt. She's got a lot of Slytherin in her as well, and the fact that she likes to try to, manipulate the staff at the orphanage, not in like a mean, manipulative, evil way or anything like that. She just is very good at trying to put the compliments in the right place or stuff like that, or, trying to, not trick them is not the right word, but she likes to be able to, make them do what she wants, but kind of because they want to, I guess would be a good way of putting it. And we'll see some examples in a little bit, how she does this. And she's like, and I wouldn't want to be the only you know, if I'm in a family, there'd only be a couple of people for me to boss around type of thing. And she's also like, but I wouldn't want to leave this place either because, you know, the cook here makes the best shepherd's pie. And like, she really does love being there. It's like, she doesn't want to leave. Um, and, you know, like, so her and Custard are just like talking and everything. And he's like, well, you know, having a family wouldn't be bad. But she's like, but then, you know, but then we wouldn't get to be friends anymore. We wouldn't get to be around each other all the time. And they're just, you know, talking about that. And she just doesn't want to be she just does not want to be in a normal family because she thinks that would be so boring and everything. And you know, this, you know, the orphanage is the only home she's ever known since she was dropped off there as a baby and everything like that. And you know, and she just really enjoys being there. Custer doesn't quite agree with this. Custard actually wants a family. He wants to be able to have a family of his own. That doesn't mean that he doesn't, you know, love being around Erica and stuff like that. It just means that, you know, he would like to have a family, have a mom and a dad type of a thing. We cut to the next day, and when the matron comes in, she's been told by one of the neighbors, by the old guy, that the children had all dressed up as ghosts and had like scared him last night. Erica and Custard come in and they start talking to her, or Erica starts talking to her and basically takes the blame for it, saying that it was supposed to be like a farewell party for whoever is supposed to get adopted that, you know, that day and everything. So she's like using like the emotional manipulation, but she's also doing it so nobody else gets in trouble. So there's like a bit of a difference there. Than just trying to do it where she doesn't get in trouble. She doesn't want anybody else to get in trouble either, because it was just them having a bunch of, you know, a little bit of fun, and they weren't actually trying to hurt or scare anyone in a mean way. And the matron falls for this and, you know, forgives her, and she's like, okay, fine, and everything like that. And she's like, I just can't, and the matron's like, I just can't see how a family hasn't found you so wonderful and sweet. And Erica is just like thinking, all right, yeah, I don't want to go to a family. I like being here. And we see as Erica goes around, you know, talking, you know, Erica leaves and we kind of see her talking to some of the other people. She talks to some of the other kids that, you know, are there, and she's like mentioned about, like editing a letter that they were sending out or something like that, so it would be better grammar or sound better. And then we see her go into the kitchen where she talks to like the cook and the other kitchen staff that's there and like tease them and stuff like that, but like in a fun way, and like complimenting the food and stuff like that. And I mean, overall the orphanage itself seems to be pretty good. It seems to be like a good place to live. You know, the matron's not mean, you get good food. You know, you get to have nice, you know, nice other kids around you for the most part. I mean, I'm sure it's not always that good, but, you know, from the little bit that we see, it's good. From there, we cut to where, later in the day, where all of these different couples have shown up at the orphanage, and they're, you know, there to visit all of the other children and everything like that. One of them's cooing, you know, one of the couples is cooing over a little baby in a crib. Other ones are like cooing over the like little toddlers on the floor and stuff like that. And Erica gets very irritated by this because she complains to Custard, saying that she's frustrated how all the adults look at the children as if they are nothing but ornaments or toys or dolls, as opposed to like an individual person. That it's like, oh, this would be such a nice, you know, cute thing to have at home. She doesn't like that idea. That's one of the reasons I think she doesn't want to have, you know, doesn't want to have someone adopt her, because she doesn't want to be looked upon as just this thing, as just this object or this ornament to be put into their home to make them feel like they did a good thing by adopting an orphan and stuff like that. Which, I have several cousins on both sides of my family who are adopted into the family, and we do not treat them any differently. We love them. One of them is getting married soon, and stuff like that, where they were adopted into the family, or they're like half siblings to, you know, cousins that I have, or stuff like that, where they're like still part of the family and stuff like that. So, you know, on both sides of the family, and like extended and stuff like that, and we don't treat them any different. You know, orphanages can be horrible, and sometimes orphanages can be wonderful. Just previously, in the previous video I did for the previous Studio Ghibli movie for when Marnie was there, we see this other part of adoption because Anna is adopted into her family, or she's fostered into the family. And I don't think her parents have ever gone through the full process of adopting her, but I don't know why or if that's ever stated. But like, she's in a very good home and her parents very much love her. And in this case, it's like Anna, in that case, was not seen as an object. And then in this case, Erica is very worried about seeing it as nothing but an object or an ornament for the home and not an individual. At that point, we have this very unusually dressed couple that arrives at the orphanage, and they show up, and all of the other Erica age and such orphanage all line up along the wall for them to be introduced to the couple, and the matron is going down the line introducing them, and Erica is so ready to be done with this because she's just like trying to do this like trying to make like this very stupid face with like her eyes crossed and looking weird, so that way the couple will not want her because they think she looks weird. And what ends up happening is, while all of the different orphans are being introduced, like going down the line, Erica is actually more interested in the guy that's behind the lady. And the guy actually has very pointed ears, and he's very tall and thin, and he looks at Erica and he's kind of glaring at her, and then he kind of looks like he's just kind of growing. And Erica kind of seems to be the only one that notices this. And from there, he gives out this very dangerous aura, and Erica is the only one that notices. And then the matron gets to Erica and explains, she's been here since she was a little girl, has been with us for, since she was a baby and everything like that. And okay, so quick introductions here. The woman who is there, who is a very strangely desperate woman, her name is Bella Yaga, is her name. And the guy that is with her, his name is Mandrake. As in, Harry Potter mandrake roots that they have to plant in the second book. Stuff like that. That his name is a play off of that, or is supposed to be a reference to the mandrake plant. And, Bella Yaga is just like, well, what about this one? Will she do, in reference to Erica? And he's like, fine, yeah, she'll do. And they're just like, okay, we'll take this one. And Erica does not want to go. She does not want to go at all. She loves being at the orphanage. She doesn't want to leave Custard. She's just so I don't want to go. I don't want to leave. And she's trying to convince the matron to not have her go. By the way, from my understanding of what it comes to adopting and fostering and stuff like that, most people just do not have the ability to show up at an orphanage, point at a kid, and take them home. At least not in this day and age. And probably not in the 90s either. It's like, oh yeah, I'll take that one, and now you're coming home with me. That is not how it normally works. It's, the couples usually have to be vetted. They have to talk with the kid and actually determine if they have a good chemistry with the kid and stuff like that. That's generally been my understanding of how adoptions in that case tend to work. It's not just, it's not like you go to the pound and you pick up a dog. No offense, baby girl. It's not as easily as that. And even at the dog pound, even at the Humane Society, when you're getting a dog, they still vet you to a degree. They still, you have to answer a ton of questions and talk about stuff, and they still have you meet with the dog to see if you connect with the dog and blah, 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 blah. So there's all of that. Yes, I was talking about you. You're my good girl. And so Erica does not want to go, and she's still forced to pack up all of her stuff. And while she's packing up, she ends up finding a little package that has the cassette in it that has Earwig written on it. And she opens it, and she's like, what is this? I've never seen this before. And she like sees it. It's the cassette with Earwig on it, and she's like very confused, but she puts it in her stuff, and she heads off with Bella Yaga and the Mandrake. And they get to their house. A couple of strange things happen on their way there. Not too much, but a little bit here and there. They get to the house, and Erica starts getting, basically is shown, this is your room. She at least seems to have a somewhat comfy bed to sleep on, so that's at least something. This is your room. This is the bathroom. And it basically, we get the explanation that Bella Yaga is a witch. And the reason she adopted Erica is because she needs an extra pair of hands around the house. Because the Mandrake is like this very, very powerful being, and while him and Bella Yaga live in this same house and kind of like cohabitate to a degree, and we do find out that they have like this history together, he doesn't really do that much around the house itself. He mostly spends a lot of his time in his rooms in the house. By the way, the house basically has a TARDIS effect of it's bigger on the inside. Lots of other areas in it than what it looks like on the outside. So very TARDIS effect there. And what ends up happening is Erica finds this exceedingly cool, that like, oh my god, you're a witch? That sounds so awesome. Will you please teach me how to be a witch? Will you please show me how to this? Do all this stuff and everything like that. And Bella Yaga is basically like, I got you to clean and to be an assistant as needed. Whether or not I teach you is completely irrelevant in this case to a degree. Also, we see moments as like the gate locked magically behind Erica, and like the front door to the house disappeared once they were inside. It like melded back into the wall, and you can't even find where the door is. And such. So it's just like Erica's noticing all this stuff and everything, and that's why she ends up asking, or Bella Yaga just is like, yeah, I'm a witch. She's like, yeah, my name is Bella Yaga. I'm a witch. I brought you here because I need another pair of hands. If you work hard, I'll leave you alone. However, so it's just like, Erica is just like, oh my god, this is so great, and blah, 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 blah. So it's basically like, you'll be my assistant, and, blah, 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 blah. And so Erica basically gets taken into Bella Yaga's workspace room, which is disgusting and could give Howl's Moving Castle and the clubhouse from up on Poppy Hill a run for their money for how disgusting it is. The rest of the house looks fine, but this place is disgusting. And she basically is like, okay, here's certain ingredients, powder them and then give them to me. And like Bella Yaga's like working on like making a potion and blah 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 blah, and she has like a notebook that's like filled with all of her spells and everything like that. And she also has a cat who's her familiar, whose name is Thomas. It is like this black cat with green eyes, which could possibly be a reference to Gigi from Kiki's Delivery Service. He's adorable. Very bit of a mouthy cat at times, since it's revealed later on that he can talk. It's like, this is a Ghibli movie. There's a cat. It can probably talk. Fair enough. And so we get to see some of that, and Erica basically ends up kind of finding out that the way that the house works, or the way that stuff works around here is, or at least the way that Bella Yaga wants it to work, is Erica does a lot of the remedial stuff when it comes to taking care of all of their supplies. Powdering different ingredients, slicing different ingredients, chopping different things like that for their potions. And then also has to go out into the yard and do like all of the gathering of all of these other types of ingredients that they need from the yard, and then bringing them back inside and sorting them and getting more and sorting and getting more and sorting, and then cleaning also and dealing with all this other stuff, as Bella Yaga then ends up going and is like, handling the phone whenever someone calls to make an order. There's like a couple of orders she has to fill. Like one of them's like, oh, you want your dog to win like first place in like the dog show coming up or whatever, okay, I'll make a potion for that. Or oh, your daughter's sick again, yeah, okay, so here's, I'll make you the potion so she'll get better, and other stuff like that we see her doing. She doesn't seem to be making any form of like an evil spell or anything like that. We don't get any indication that she makes an evil spell to give to anyone or to curse someone else, I don't think, or at least not to the like a harmful way. Might be like, oh, you want to win first prize in the bake sale, okay, I'll make you something for that, and different things like that. So we get to see some of that, and we get to see, as you know, Erica has to get used to this setup where it's just like she has to keep going in and out and doing all of this other stuff while Bella Yaga is working on making all the fun parts of the potions. And she keeps complaining that Bella Yaga doesn't teach her anything, and Bella Yaga's like, again, I got you to be an extra pair of hands. You know, I never... The dog is snorting. Are you okay? She's like, I was asleep. Why did you wake me up? So, you know, Erica just is so, you know, is very annoyed about this. And she's like also upset about the fact that she can't manipulate and control and order around Bella Yaga like she's used to being able to do with like the other adults that were at the orphanage. And she's upset about that. Also, she misses her friend. She misses Custard. And she actually, later on, what she finds out that the cat can talk, that Thomas can talk, she keeps calling him Custard on accident. Which, I don't know. But, you know, so Erica is getting used to this. We also see, like, kind of the Mandrake tends to not like to be disturbed. And, like, they're, you know, the Mandrake's demands are just, like, do not disturb him. And so they have the one room that's like the potions ingredients room, and then they have like the kitchen that looks like a normal kitchen where the Mandrake tends to spend a lot of time reading the newspaper and getting angry at the newspaper. And one of the things is he also tends to be the one who either will somehow provide dinner for them because he has these like little demons that work for him that are these like little like air or wind demons or stuff like that that are able to like bring him and, you know, the two women, or Erica and Bella Yaga, food from somewhere else, whatever other restaurant or whatever, and bring that to them. And so he has his like little demon aides that do that. And, you know, sometimes Bella Yaga doesn't like what they have, but Erica keeps complimenting it because she's like, okay, well, maybe if I can't get Bella Yaga to like me, maybe I can get the Mandrake to like me. And, like, the first night that Erica's there, she ends up, like, trying to explore the house, and she, like, spends some time on other nights trying to explore the house to find out where stuff is, like, trying to figure out where Bella Yaga's room is, trying to figure out where the Mandrake's room is. Finds herself in like this giant study that is like bigger than the whole house would have been anyway, so it's, you know, the bigger on the inside thing again. And going through a lot of that and like finding like a manuscript from the Mandrake that she starts reading, and she just does not think it's a very good manuscript. And like books fall on her because like the little demons, little wind demons or whatever, like in the library room, you know, trying to get her out, and like other stuff where she ends up finding other stuff. She finds like a garage area where she finds the yellow bug that had been chasing her and her mother on the motorcycle at the beginning of the movie. And she finds a cassette player there along with some of the Earwig, like an Earwig record is in there as well. And she ends up like taking those and taking them into her room. So she has them. So they kind of get into this habit of just like Erica having to follow Bella Yaga's orders and requests to go and get these ingredients, chop those, dice those, slice those, peel that, crush up those, stuff like that. And then Erica just sometimes gets to the point where she's just so tired. She's like barely, basically asleep on her feet because she is so tired from everything and not really getting to sleep or relax for the most part. And, so she doesn't like that. We kind of see a little bit of like, she does something that kind of starts to have the Mandrake slightly warm up to her. Not by much, but a little bit. I think it's like she compliments something about like the food. And there's like this other thing where, she's just doing like a lot of other stuff in the house. She ends up, I think at one point she ends up playing the music that's like on the cassette. She plays the cassette so she can hear the Earwig song, and like as the song's playing, we get kind of this like cut back to like the band singing the song, where we see, you know, the red-haired woman who is, you know, Erica's mother. We see what is supposed to clearly be Bella Yaga on the drums, and a very tall, lanky, curly, purple-haired guy with big ears who's clearly supposed to be the Mandrake, and all of them were in this band, and the band's name was Earwig. And so Erica just really, really likes the song. The song's actually pretty good. I actually kind of like the song. It's a pretty good song. But they're supposed to be like, so the movie takes place in the 90s. Erica's dropped off at the orphanage in like the very early 80s. And then she, so it's like this moment where like the band had their heyday type of a thing is supposed to be like, mid to late 70s range is like when all of that's happening from what we can tell. And so Erica is, you know, getting to hear the song, and she really, really likes it. And what ends up happening from there is there's other stuff where it's like she's trying to like draw the Mandrake, and she's trying to get it right, and the Mandrake ends up actually getting kind of angry about this, and because he is literally connected to the house, because he can like phase through the walls of the house and things like that. Like the wall of her room itself like lights up with like two big red eyes staring at her because she's trying to draw the Mandrake, and she's not getting it quite right, and she wants it to be as right as she can. She also draws like a picture of Bella Yaga as well. So she's, you know, we're trying to work on all of that, and the Mandrake does, I don't know if the Mandrake likes the fact that she's trying to draw him or doesn't like it or whatever, but she like stops or whatever. And then one of the other things is Bella Yaga keeps threatening to, if Erica does not mind her own business, she's going to give her worms. Purple and blue wriggling worms, which I'm just like, ugh, that sounds gross. So there's a lot of that stuff that keeps happening. And this is over the course of like, I don't know if we get an exact amount of time for how long some of this stuff happens, but Erica is just kind of getting to the point where she's a little bit pushed to her limit. So what she decides to do is, she finds out that Thomas can speak, and she's like, you can speak, and he's like, yeah, I don't do it very often. I think you should stop that drawing. It's beginning to disturb the Mandrake. So it's like she's drawing, and that's when she finds out that he can talk. He also gives her like some type of a quip about like, yeah, but I don't do it very often. I just, you know, do it because I do it when I want to, type of a thing. You know, so we get some of that. And, you know, Thomas and her kind of become allies, and because Bella Yaga has also threatened to, like, you know, put worms into Thomas, the two of them actually decide to team up, and they end up trying to make a potion that they can use that will prevent it so they can't be infected with the worms. So what they do is at night, or one of the nights, they sneak their way into like the potions area / you know, supply room, and they find you know, Bella Yaga's notebook, and they're like finding the right spell that they need to make like this like immunity potion or whatever, so they're not able to be affected by the worms or whatever from Bella Yaga. And from there, you know, it takes a long time to make the potion, and then we also see this other thing where, you know, Erica has to like stir the potion and say the right words, and Thomas is trying to tell her the right words, and it's revealed that like after the potion glows and is all done, he's like, some of the words I couldn't remember all the words, so I just told you some like swear words in witch. And Erica's like, well, okay, I guess we're gonna find out whether or not this potion works. And then she like scoops up some handfuls and like has to like cover Thomas in it at first, which is just like, ugh. And Thomas is just like, ugh, does not like this. And then she has to like cover all of herself with it as well, including like all the way up to her pigtails, all the way down to the bottom of her toes. So we see her doing that and getting all of the potion on her. And then from there, she's like, okay, well, that should prevent us from being affected by the worms, because that's like the main thing Bella Yaga keeps threatening this. And at that point in time, again, there's this moment where the Mandrake, again, it's like there's something there where he kind of starts to warm up to her. And I'm pretty sure he's aware of the fact that she made the potion to prevent her and Thomas from getting worms. So I don't know if he's like, okay, he's like watching her to see if she's like becoming a witch or something like that. So like there's some of that. And there's two things that happen kind of between Erica and the Mandrake. One morning it's kind of her job to make breakfast every morning at this point in time, and she knows how to cook, but she kind of flubs one of them on purpose because she's trying to like get Bella Yaga in trouble. And what she does is she's supposed to make, I think it's supposed to be like their version of French toast, but it's like fried bread is what they call it. And she's trying to make that, and she like botches it on purpose, and that makes the Mandrake very annoyed. So he then has to like summon his little demons to bring them specifically fried bread that looks delicious, by the way. It just looks awesome. From like some other restaurant like brings them 3 servings of it for each of them to have and such. So we see that. One of the other things is that there's one night where he actually ends up having for dinner, they end up actually having shepherd's pie from the orphanage. And he makes the comment, because I think Erica had mentioned somewhere, like while she was talking to Thomas, that like, and I really miss their shepherd's pie. It was the best. And so then it's either that night or the next night that like there's shepherd's pie on the table that's from the orphanage. And, the Mandrake says, well, their shepherd's pie is the best, and then like they all eat, and Erica's like kind of befuddled by this. So I think that's supposed to imply that the Mandrake has been listening to when her and Thomas talk. So we get some of that. The other thing that happens kind of between Erica and the Mandrake is that one day, while Bella Yaga is off having to deliver potions and the stuff like that, deliver her other merchandise, Erica is left in the room to clean. But instead of cleaning, what she decides to do is she is basically going to make a voodoo doll, so that way she can then give the doll extra arms, and the voodoo doll will be Bella Yaga, which is just funny. And what ends up happening is, so Erica is going through all of that and making the doll, and she has it all ready, and she even has like 2 sets of set of like fake hands ready to stick on the doll. But to activate the doll, she needs a lock of Bella Yaga's hair, because it's like Bella Yaga keeps saying, you're just an extra pair of hands for me, so it's like, I'll just give you an extra pair of hands. So that's what she decides to do, and so she needs to get hair for that. But what happens is, while she's working on the doll, the Mandrake actually shows up into the room, and he actually has like this plate of cookies and tea for her, and he gives them to her. And as he's leaving, and like she's very thankful to him for that, but like as he's leaving, she's like, are you a writer? And he goes, yes. And she goes, well, could I read some of your books sometime? And he's like, yes. So he's like, okay, and he just like leaves, and then she just like gets to eat the cookies with Thomas. And then just as when Bella Yaga is getting back, she has to like run and hide the fact that she had cookies, and she has to hide the voodoo doll, and then runs back into the potions room to make it look like she's been cleaning the whole time, but she hasn't. She's been making the doll. So Bella Yaga's like yelling at her. It's like, you won't go to bed with you won't go to bed with food until you've finished up in here or made this place decent. It's like, you won't be able to go to bed until these floors are clean enough to eat off of and everything like that. So they have that whole argument, and Erica does end up doing more cleaning, and she's like, fine, you can go to bed, but you're only getting like cheese and bread for dinner. Mandrake doesn't quite agree with that. He ends up actually like using one of his little like wind demons to like drop a nice plate of good looking food along with one of his books into Erica's room, so that way she can read that. And so he's giving her these different displays of kindness and stuff like that, so that way she can kind of see that there's some, like, he does kind of care, is what's happening there. And what we end up seeing from there is Erica sits and, like, as she's eating, she's like reading the book, and she's like, well, it's not the best in her opinion, but she has notes. And what ends up happening is Um, Erica has also been like spending a lot of time at nights trying to find where Bella Yaga's room is, because now she needs to try to get a hold of a piece of Bella Yaga's hair. She also just calls the mandrakes writing boring and a waste of time, which there's also like one of the newspaper articles we see the mandrake reading that makes him angry is actually an article about like his latest book that's called like The Princess and the Wizard or something like that is what it's called, and he's angry that the press thinks that it's horrible. So we have that. But what ends up happening is Erica ends up trying to think of like a way to try to figure out where everything is in the house in perspective to other stuff, because like she can get into her room and into the bathroom and into the spell room or the potions room, but like she can't find Bella Yaga's room and she can't find the mandrake's room. So what she does is she takes a screwdriver and she like drills through the wall, flathead manual screwdriver, and like kind of drills through the wall and ends up actually looking through the hole in the wall and ends up actually seeing into what would be the mandrake's room. And he's playing on this like giant organ, and like we see all of his little like demon thingies flying around him and singing and dancing, and we see like some of the Earwig and the witch memorabilia and merchandise on the walls, and he's just like, I don't know what song he's playing, but it sounds nice. And so Erica is like kind of blown away by that, and then she gets kind of worried, so she like shoves the screwdriver in there so that way I guess he won't notice that she drilled a hole in the wall. And from there, the next morning, she's actually able to get a hold of Bella Yaga's piece of Bella Yaga's hair, because Bella Yaga has her hat that she keeps wearing whenever she goes out, and Erica finds the hair in that, and then when she has the chance, she runs into her room and ties it onto the voodoo doll thing that she made, which then results in screaming from Bella Yaga, and Bella Yaga is has a hand, a little extra hand, an arm sticking out of her head, and then another one that's sticking out of her back, and like the one on her face keeps like pinching her nose, and the one on the back keeps pinching her butt and stuff like that, and Bella Yaga cannot control them, and Bella Yaga is very angry about this, and she's like yelling at Erica, and Erica is just trying so hard not to laugh as this is happening, and I can't blame her in the slightest. She's trying so hard not to laugh, and she eventually does, because it is hilarious what is happening. And Bella Yaga gets so angry, she breaks she kind of basically what ends up happening is she lashes out with her magic, which sends Erica through the spell door or the potions room door into Erica's room and locks the door with Erica in her room. And Erica is just still laughing, and Thomas is on the bed terrified about what's going on, and he just has no idea, Thomas is just so terrified about what's going on because Bella Yaga is so freaking angry, and he's just like so scared, and Bella Yaga is able to like break the magic that's on her from having the 2 extra hands, so she's able to break that magic, and then she has like this little black portal thing that appears in Erica's room and then drops worms, blue, purple, wriggling ones that Erica is able to avoid, but then she's like, if she comes in here and she's like, I didn't think this plan through, Thomas. If she comes in here and sees that the worms are on the floor, she's going to know we did something because we're not infected with them. So she has to figure out what to do with the worms. So she like looks at the wall and she pulls the screwdriver out of the wall, and then she like picks the worms up and like starts feeding them through the wall, thinking that they're just going to go into the bathroom, as Bella Yaga is like yelling at her from the outside of the room. But what ends up happening is the worms are not actually going into the bathroom. They're wiggling their way into the walls of the house, which are connected to the mandrake, which then just makes him angry. And he ends up just getting so angry that like Erica ends up having to hide under her bed, and like the wall looks like it melts from lava, and the mandrake comes in and he is freaking huge, and red and scaly and angry looking, and he has his little like wind demons that are following behind him as like he's yelling at Erica about like she tried to give you worms and blah 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 blah, and he's like going off to go and deal with Bella Yaga because Erica said something about like Bella Yaga tried to give me worms, and then he goes off to deal with Bella Yaga, and now Bella Yaga is terrified, ends up coming into Erica's room trying to plead with her to try to make the Mandrake calm down. And what ends up happening is Bella Yaga has gone into the room and is like trying to beg Erica to like make him stop, make him calm down. And he's followed them into the room, and the cassette player somehow gets turned on, and it's the Earwig song. It's the Earwig and the Witch song that's playing, and the two adults, of course, recognize it. And Bella Yaga's like, "How do you have that? Where did you find that? Blah 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 blah." And what ends up happening is, that the Mandrake seems angry still, and so Erica like grabs the cassette and like gives it to Bella Yaga, and it's like, "She gave it to me," and then like runs through like the hole that was in the wall has gotten bigger, and she runs through the wall into the Mandrake's room, and she sees on the walls all of this stuff from Earwig that is, pictures of all of them together when they were young, and posters and all this other stuff of like the three of them, of Bella Yaga and Mandrake and Erica's mother, when they were just so happy and everything, and happy and carefree and enjoying their lives and making music and loving being a band together and everything. And we see that there in the pictures, and like Erica is just kind of blown away by this. Admittedly, Erica has not put it together that the woman with the red hair is her mom. I don't think she's put that together yet, because she was so young. She was a baby the last time she saw her mom, so yeah. And what ends up happening is Erica is just amazed by this, and the Mandrake comes in behind her, and he's calmed down so much. He's calmed down enough, and he tells her that the worms will wriggle into magical places. So the worms that Bella Yaga makes try to wriggle into magical places, and that's what caused the problem, and that's why it made him so angry. And he's like, music has the power to do the same thing. It has the power to take you to other places. And he assures Erica that Bella Yaga will never try to use the worms on her again, and that Bella Yaga will teach Erica magic and how to properly be a witch, because the only thing that can replace a witch when she leaves is another witch. So, like, the three of them, Bella Yaga, Mandrake, and Erica's mother had been not exactly a coven, I don't think, but had been like a group. And they had been wonderful together, but Erica's mother left, and he's kind of explaining this to her, and Erica had actually looked at him and was like, you guys, I love Earwig, they sound so awesome, and blah 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 blah, and she's like so happy about that. So Mandrake kind of like blushes and his ears go a little red, and he's like actually kind of happy that she likes that stuff, likes the music and everything. And Erica's asking about like what happened, or asked about what happened, and he makes the comment that Bella Yaga had once been extremely talented on drums, and she was also talented with spells and everything like that, and that the red-haired woman left Earwig, left their band, because she opposes witches' law, certain laws that witches are supposed to abide by. We never find out exactly what those are. There might be more details about them in the book, but I don't know. And she stands up against what are referred to as the 12 crones, which I'm assuming are supposed to be like these 12 witches that are, like, I don't know, an ancient coven that have the power to decide things amongst other witches, and they have to follow their rules. And Erica's mother didn't want to be a part of that. And she, what we get is we get this flashback where we see where we cut back to where we see when Erica's mother left the band, and how she's like, I'm sick and tired. I want to live my life the way I want to. And I, don't want those witches, those crones, ordering me around or deciding what I can do. And I want to be my own person, type of thing. And she leaves, and this kind of, this would make, Bella Yaga and Mandrake both very sad, because Earwig was Erica's mother was their friend, and she's so, they're upset now because their group or their coven or whatever has kind of been broken, and it's not whole anymore. And Mandrake is explaining this to Erica, and she's like, well, I'm gonna become the best witch I can be, and I'm not gonna leave, and I want to become a proper witch and all of that stuff. And then she'll take the place of the other witch, and Mandrake's happy about that, and he sends her back to where Bella Yaga is. And she also makes a comment of like, and school's supposed to be starting soon, and I'd really like to be able to see my friend Custard, so can I please go to school? And he's like, yeah, sure, that's fine. And she goes back into the room where Bella Yaga is. Or he's like, he'll consider it. So she goes back into the room where Bella Yaga is, and she ends up asking her, it was like, Bella Yaga's like, well, fine, I am going to teach you how to be a witch. And Erica actually hugs her. And then she's like, the Mandrake told me that you used to be really good on drums. And like Bella Yaga is like very freaked out by being hugged, which is so funny. And then she looks over, and she like stacks up a couple of things on the table, and like kind of shows her that she can still drum. She hasn't lost it. So she like kind of drums a little bit. And then it kind of moves on from there, where Bella Yaga and Erica can kind of actually start, Bella Yaga, Erica hopes of becoming a very great witch one day. And, so that kind of starts to help open up Bella Yaga to helping teach Erica and everything. And then Erica's also like, could we go on a picnic someday? So then we get to the end. And in the epilogue, basically what we get is Erica is like, it's been half a year since I was adopted. For the time being, everyone does as I say. This feels much better than being at the orphanage. Mandrake has taken to calling me Dearwig with a sweet voice, which is just funny. So basically what we see in the ending bit is Mandrake and Erica and Bella Yaga have kind of become more of an actual family. Erica's room is much better. It's much more personalized to her, with much more extravagant furniture and stuff like that, and a very comfy looking bed. It even looks a bit bigger than it was before. So that's good. Bella Yaga has been teaching her how to be a witch and how to make potions and stuff like that. And Erica actually, the Mandrake's little demons actually kind of like obey her to a degree. And also she also reads his scripts for him, his manuscripts for him, so that way he has a better, can like tell him like what to do better and stuff like that, as like a proofreader and like an ideas board and stuff like that. And so she like gives him a new, like the copy that she looked over, and she's like, I really like the part about the head and the bag and the bell tower. So it's just like, that was funny. Call back to the beginning of the movie. And so that makes the Mandrake happy, so like he's able to do better with that and everything. And she's like, the only thing that she can't really seem to do is to get Custard to come to visit, because he's scared of the Mandrake. And eventually it gets to the point where I think it's supposed to be like Christmas. I like the fact that their Christmas lights actually say do not disturb, which is just funny. And it's supposed to like Merry Christmas or something like that. They say do not disturb, or don't disturb, or whatever it is. And it's supposed to be like Christmas or something, and they're all happy and ready for Christmas, and like Custard shows up. And when he shows up, Erica answers the door, and Custard is there, but Erica's mother is also there as well. And she's like, hello, Earwig. And so Erica is getting to meet her mom. And that's where the movie ends. And I'm like, I don't know if the book has more or not. I have no idea. One thing the the thing about the end credits for this movie is that there's actually a fair amount in the end credits that show just additional things about what's going on in the story itself. We see stuff about, let me see if I can pull them up. Hold on. We see, like in the end credits bit, we have, Bella Yaga is teaching Erica how to do, magic and make potions and how to like handle different ingredients and stuff like that. And, Erica gets tired at various points in time. We see her mess up on potions. We see her trying to do even bigger potions and more and more and more with, Bella Yaga just like, trying to show her what to do. And potions blowing up in Erica's face, and eventually she does get it right. We also see a moment where she's like, Erica has made her own extra hands that are able to help her with stuff, which is just kind of funny. We see Bella Yaga trying to teach Erica how to fly on a broom, and either Erica can't do it or she's just messing with her. And we see Bella Yaga and Erica getting ready to take out a bunch of their potions that they've, made so they can sell them, and we see them out and about and having a nice time and having tea and just relaxing. We see like the matron and the other lady that worked at the orphanage getting like little potion things or whatever from Erica and a letter that's probably telling them what's been going on. We see Bella Yaga and Erica working on the car, getting it running again. So that way they can go out and about. We see Erica and Custard going to school, Custard being afraid of the mandrake. We see them all getting ready to go to the beach, which is adorable, and Custard being afraid of the mandrake again. And then they all go down to the beach and just have like a nice fun time at the beach. Even the mandrake is there, which is adorable. And we see Erica talking to the mandrake, and I think he's supposed to be she's trying to convince him to, I think, get Bella Yaga flowers for her birthday, because that's like the next thing we see, and that just makes both of them very happy. We also see Erica like in the library area of the house, like ordering around the little demon thingies and having them move about. And then there's one that's kind of like the main one that she interacts with, which is this one that has like an eggshell on its head, and it gets hurt, and then she has to like patch it up. And then we see her helping the mandrake with more writing and everything like that. Also earlier in the epilogue, we saw that the mandrake has written a new book that's called Earwig of the Witch, and it's actually got rave reviews, and that makes him happy. And we see other stuff where it's like him writing more books, and he has like a bookshop, and like a book, or like he has books that are being shown on on display in a bookshop, and that makes him happy. We also see like they get a television, and then Erica gets to watch Howl's Moving Castle on the television, which is adorable. And we see Erica messing up on food, and then the mandrake having to show her how to make the food better. We see the little demons with cupcakes, and Erica and the demons eating the cupcakes on top of the house, which is adorable, and her spending more time with the other demons, and like, having fun with Bella Yaga with like beauty routines and just reading with the mandrake and playing music with the mandrake, and Erica finding more of the Earwig stuff and listening to it, and finding an old guitar and learning how to play the guitar so she can do that herself, and stuff like that. You see the mandrake in like an old outfit, and Erica's trying not to laugh, which is adorable. Bella Yaga back on the drums and having fun. And then like Earwig, Erica playing to an audience for like, I think it's supposed to be all of them together playing for the first time with Erica singing. And then the last one that we get for the ending credits is Erica, Bella Yaga, Thomas, and the mandrake all together as like a family that Erica drew. And that's adorable, and I love that. Just because it's like the movie itself, the way that the movie ends very abruptly, doesn't really explain what happened. It's like, how'd the mom take care of all the other witches? What happened? How's other stuff going on? What, what's happening now? Is there anything else? There's no sequel to this as far as I'm aware. I don't know if the book gives more information or not, so I'm sorry about that. And now for the last bit, which is cast list. So Erica / Earwig / Aya in different countries. I think Aya is her Japanese name. Is voiced by Taylor Paige Henderson. Don't know who that is. Bella Yaga is voiced by Vanessa Marshall. I'm pretty sure I should know who that is, but I do not know. The Mandrake, I know this one, is voiced by Richard E. Grant, who, if I am remembering correctly, my main focus for knowing who the heck he is he played the manager of the Spice Girls movie, which just makes it so funny. That's my reference for him. He was also in Doctor Who with Matt Smith, where he played a character called the Great Intelligence that had evil snowmen. He's also just been in so many other shows and everything like that. Earwig's mom, or Erica's mom, is voiced by Kaylee Musgraves in the English. Casey Musgraves is a singer. Not really so much else. Thomas is voiced by Dan Stevens, who I do not know off the top of my head. And then Custard is voiced by Logan Hannon. Again, I'm not super aware of who that is, so I'm sorry if those are people that I should know and I just don't. The main one I know on the list is Richard E. Grant, and that's about it. Yeah, so that's what I have for this one. In regards to the next one is going to be The Boy and the Heron, and that is the last Studio Ghibli movie that I will be doing because that's the last one they have out. And then after that, I have a Disney review to do for the movie Wish, which I have not done yet, so I'll do that one. And then from there, I might be taking a break from doing movie reviews for a while and just focusing on like having 2 videos a week, give or take. But we'll see what's going on from there. So that's what I have. I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye!